Hey guys, so we are on lesson 2 of unit 1. This lesson is what is agriscience? So right off the bat, you've got a vocabulary word telling you what agriscience is. And so they say that is the application of scientific principles and new technologies to agriculture. So even simpler than that, agriscience is just putting science into agriculture. Okay, so agriculture is growing crops. So we put science into growing crops. How can we grow more crops? How can we grow a better crop? How can we harvest this crop faster? That is from agriscience. And you can put it towards animals as well. How do we feed the animals for less money? Okay, how do we develop a feed ration that's going to produce a fatter pig in a short amount of time, saving the rancher money? How do we develop a automatic watering system so that it eliminates time on the rancher to water those animals? Those are all agriscience developments. So agriscience is very, very broad. So it says it's been around, since the 1700s, where scholars began applying scientific methods to agriculture. Before then, agriculture was really just the main part was to grow food for you and your family and to survive. They didn't really focus on mass production yet. But as you can see, with our growing population, mass production is a huge problem or a huge problem solver that we need, because in 2050 the population is going to be 9 billion. So we have less and less land to do it. There's houses being grown on it. It's being sold. So we need all the advancements that we can get to produce more and more to continue to feed everyone. So you can actually go to college and study agriscience. It says it's in colleges and university. I went to college and I studied agriculture education. So that was to be an ag teacher. But I have several friends that were majors in agribusiness, animal science, agriculture communications. All of these were in the agriculture college. Okay, soil science, that was as well. Horticulture science, the study of plants. Even wildlife biology is under that agriculture umbrella. So it's very broad, and we're very thankful for agri-scientists, because with them we have a lot of the advancements that we take for granted today. So here comes some more vocabulary words. Remember, you need to know these for your unit quizzes. So it says the early agri-scientists understood the importance of fertile soil. Fertile means soil that is good, soil that can grow crops. Not every soil in the world is great. There are places that their soil is no good. Maybe they had a chemical burn or reaction, or they had a large fire and they can't grow anything. So having fertile soil is very important. So it says fertilizer was one of the first things that they studied. So what fertilizer is, think of the word fertile. It's something that you can use to help your plant become more fertile, to help it grow. Now these can be organic or inorganic. Organic is a vocab word. That means it comes from living organisms or it's natural. So like think about when you go to the grocery store, you see organic and inorganic. Organic typically means like that product was raised with no outside chemicals. It was all naturally made. So it may be used cow manure as its fertilizer. It didn't use any pesticides, and these are harder to grow without these pesticides. That's why that product is a lot more expensive in the grocery store. Inorganic, nothing wrong with it. I eat inorganic a lot. That means that the material comes from non-living things. So those are maybe chemicals that were made in a lab. So think of Roundup. That is a pesticide that I'm sure you have seen before. That is inorganic because it was made in a lab. But we need it to help keep our crops from getting eaten. So then we come down to your next vocabulary word, which is sustainable farming. And sustainable farming is something that has really become popular again in the recent years. And what it means is that resources are used in a way that does not permanently harm or create long-term damages. Basically, it means like sustainable, so that farm can sustain itself. So going back to the old ways of organic methods. So it says, because the planting of clover is good for the soil and the cows, who then go to the bathroom and their manure produces better crops in other fields, it's a win-win for the farmer. So it's using something agriculture-wise to get something else agriculture, combining those things. However, most people do not rely on it, so that's why agri-scientists are still looking for the best ways to benefit crops, plants, and animals and the planet. So we go down, father of fertilizer, you will need to know that. That was Justus von Liebig. He is a German chemist who figured out the chemicals, elements, nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. NPK is how we remember it, because those are the element letters. It helped create effective fertilizer and spawned an entire industry. So without him, there's several jobs right there in people selling the fertilizer, creating the fertilizer, applicating it. And then we have another vocab word. So another scientist, agri-scientist, Sir Bennett Laws, developed superphosphates. And so these are the combination of rock phosphates and sulfuric acid, which is the basis for chemical fertilizer. And it added a whole other dimension. Without fertilizer, whether you like organic or not, without use of fertilizer, there is no way we would be able to feed the population like we do today. So it is very, very vital. So right there, he is using organic fertilizer, and that's just using cow manure. I use that on my garden. That's as organic as it gets. So we just go out to the pasture, scoop up some cow manure, and put it on our garden, and it is a natural fertilizer. So that's really neat. So it says today, fertilizer in the U.S. is actually declining. But that's not because we don't use agriculture as much. That's actually because we can tailor different fertilizers for specific needs of the crops through agri-science, so we don't have to use as much of it. So we're still today building on those things that Liebig and Laws did centuries ago. So whether it is development of a better tractor, so like John Deere, he was an agri-scientist. He came up with the steel plow, and then which turned into the John Deere company, which is all of the tractors. All of that is agri-science development. So really, agri-science, I want you to know, is technological developments in agriculture. Drones. Do you know that agriculturalists, they use drones to check their crops now so that they do not have to drive out in the middle of them. They can check it from their recliner, their cows. So that's pretty amazing. Then it goes on to talk about America and farming. Farming is a huge, huge industry in America and very important. It has built a lot of our society and where we are today. You need to know USDA. That's the United States Department of Agriculture. It is a government body responsible for regulating agriculture. And then this is kind of cool. It tells you the most produced crops in the U.S. And I'll tell you some Texas facts. So corn. Think about corn is grown, especially in the Midwest. You've probably seen corn grown in Texas. Texas grows a lot of corn. We grow in the U.S. 31% of the global percentage of corn is grown in the United States. 81.5 million acres, and it brings in $50.1 billion. And corn is not just for eating. Most of the corn you see around isn't even, you don't want to eat it. It's field corn. And so that is used for feed, even used to ethanol, which can be used to fuel your car, paint, food, corn syrup, corn oil. All of these are from corn. Soybeans. We produce 29% of those. Those are little bushy plants that you may see. 75 million acres, 34.2 billion. So they're used for soybean oil, other soy foods, and livestock feed. Hay. Texas produces the most hay. And then they don't have the number for the global percent, but it's grown on 52.4 million acres, and we use it for animal feed. and bedding sometimes. But in the winter, that's how we feed our animals, especially up north where there's snow and they can't get to grass. They rely on hay. Wheat, we grow about 7%. Food products, animal feed, seed. Wheat turns into bread. So any kind of bread product is coming from wheat, even white bread. Cotton. Texas grows the most cotton out of everyone in the United States. And we grow 16% of all of the world's cotton. Those are for clothes, apparel, even think of like baseball gloves, anything that uses cotton. Animal feed. Yes, animals will eat cottonseed. Sorghum, which is another word for it, is milo. We grow 15% of it. Food products, animal feed, biofuels. You can see this is not just when you think of regular ag products. Rice, 1.2%. Food products, pet food, and beer even is made from rice. So it says for a nation that represents only a little over 4% of the world's population, this is really cool. The United States produces quite a bit of the global food supply and way more than Americans can consume. Not surprisingly, much of the crops grown find their way to international markets. So America plays a huge, huge role in producing food for the world. So then it goes on to talk about how crops are grown, different livestock. I want you to read these important parts, little tidbits that are included on here. They've got some really cool facts for you. Okay, and I'm trying to hurry this along. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Our other vocab word is aquaculture. So that is the growth and management of living things in water. So basically, that is having fish living in the water, and then you can grow plants on top of that. And the plants eat the fish poop. The fish get nutrients from the plants. So it's that sustainable agriculture going again. All right, so let's hop over and see what you're doing after this unit or this lesson. You're going to be answering the critical thinking questions. So go through here, and you've got 5 critical thinking questions. Make sure you look at the rubric, and I want you to put some thought into it. Complete sentences, and critical thinking means in depth. So please be in depth. And then I think you just have where you turn it in, and that is it